Hi, good morning. I am Bill Colvin. I'm the Assistant Director and Director of Community and Economic Development for the Bennington County Regional Commission. I'd like to thank everybody for coming out for this exciting morning in downtown Bennington. Before I start, I'd like to announce the other folks that are up here with me, beginning on the left. Dr. Mariko Silver from Bennington College, Dimitri Garter, Executive Vice President of Global Z International, Brian McKenna of DB McKenna, Bob Stevens of Stevens & Associates and M&S Development, Jim Brown, President of the Bank of Bennington, Dr. David Evans, President of Southern Vermont College, Tom D., CEO of Southwestern Vermont Medical Center, and Tony Marrow. We're delighted this morning to announce that a consortium of local business leaders, institutions, and civic-minded investors has organized together to transform the block of historic buildings at the four corners of Bennington into a vibrant, mixed-use downtown space with in-town living, offices, restaurants, and retail. Bennington Redevelopment Group, LLC, has reached an agreement with the Greenberg family, giving the group the right to acquire the buildings and approximately 4 acres of land that include the Putnam Hotel, the Old Courthouse and Penny Saver, the Winslow Building, Old Castle Theater, H. Greenberg & Son Hardware, and the Mobile Station. Bennington Redevelopment Group now has a 90-day window to do environmental assessments, survey, and title work before purchasing the property. From there, we expect it will take 12 to 18 months to design and develop this project. Success will require support from the town of Bennington, the state of Vermont, and tenants who are willing to be part of the transformation of downtown Bennington. This project is being led by a group of community leaders from a range of institutions and interests, including the Bank of Bennington, Southwestern Vermont Healthcare, Bennington College, Southern Vermont College, Global Z International, Brian McKenna, Anthony and Jacqueline Morrow, and a group of local professionals. Bennington Redevelopment Group has partnered with M&S Development of Brattleboro, Vermont to help develop financing and manage this project. The partners in M&S Development, Bob Stevens and Craig Miskovich, were part of the team that successfully redeveloped the Brooks House in Brattleboro. That project has become an inspiration for downtown revitalization as well as a model for community-enabled development. This type of development combines community investment with a mix of federal tax credits and state and local support for financial incentives. Elements of this proposed project were drawn from the recently released Bennington Downtown Area-Wide Plan, prepared by Stone Environmental and BCRC for the town of Bennington. That plan produced a market study, conceptual redevelopment scenarios, and feasibility analyses which will support the proposed Putnam Block redevelopment effort. Funding for the Putnam Block revitalization is slated to come from a combination of debt, grants, and equity. Debt financing will be sought from private sources, banks, and the Vermont Economic Development Authority. Grants will be pursued from the Vermont Community Development Program and the State of Vermont and Environmental Protection Agency Brownsfield programs. The project will also solicit new market tax credits and federal historic tax credits. We are delighted to have reached an agreement for site control, but the hard work remains ahead. It will take commitment from the leadership group, support from the town of Bennington and state of Vermont, and tenants who are willing to work with us to bring this plan from concept to reality. This project offers a significant economic benefit to our community. Just as important, however, is the positive impact a successful project will have on our collective psyche. There may be no more iconic buildings in Bennington than those at the four corners of our downtown. Revitalizing them will result in tremendous boost in community morale. This is a project about which Bennington can feel proud. This is a project which represents the very best elements of a community coming together to support and improve itself. It is the hope of the Bennington Redevelopment Group that this Putnam Block redevelopment will jumpstart a whole new wave of investment in our town. Finally, the Bennington Redevelopment Group would like to thank the Greenberg family for their willingness to engage with us throughout this process and work with us to sell these 6 properties as a block. We hope they feel the final product is something that fits in with and furthers the legacy this family has created in Bennington. We have a couple of additional speakers who will add some brief remarks, and then we'll be happy to field questions. I'd like to introduce Jim Brown, President of the Bank of Bennington and a member of the Bennington Redevelopment Group.
Our group first met about a year ago. We had a common understanding that Bennington was struggling and something needed to be done to change that. We also had a belief that private investors would need to lead that with a civic mindset in order for it to be successful. It didn't take long for us to recognize that the Putnam Block and its redevelopment was the transformative project that needed to happen in Bennington to change the momentum. Every member of the Bennington group has long-standing deep ties to Bennington. We understand that a strong local economy and a vibrant downtown are keys to the success of the town, the area, our institutions, and our personal interests. The Brooks House serves as a great example of community-enabled development that we think we can duplicate here. The Bennington Redevelopment Group doesn't view this as strictly a real estate transaction, but as an investment to save landmark buildings in the center of our community, breathe new life into them, new life into the downtown, and in turn, hopefully spur other investment in Bennington. SVC, Southern Vermont College, is also a member of this group, and David Evans has some remarks.
Thanks, Jim. I am very happy that Southern Vermont College is part of this project, and President Silver and I, representing higher education in town, private higher education in town, recognize strongly that an attractive and vibrant community is vital to the success of our institutions. As relative newcomers to town, both she and I recognize the tremendous potential in Bennington, the amazing assets, the lovely natural setting, the engaged culture here in town. And so we joined together with the rest of the Bennington Redevelopment Group to work together to create this wonderful project, and we certainly share in the great hope that it will be a transformative moment, not just for downtown, but for the entire community, and we look forward to participating as we go forward. Thank you. Bill Coleman.
As I noted at the outset, this is a true community project, and success will rely upon support from the town of Bennington. Under the leadership of Chairman Tom Jacobs, the Bennington Select Board has exhibited a willingness and an interest in looking for creative public-private partnerships to further our community. We believe we have found the perfect project for that partnership. By way of exhibiting commitment, Chairman Jacobs got in his car at 3 a.m. this morning and drove down from the woods of Maine to be here for this event. So, Tom?
I wouldn't miss this one for the world. I'll tell you, this is a special day for Bennington. And all of you folks, I think, realize that. About 2 years ago, the select board said, you know, we can't do business as usual because business as usual is not working. And there's things that we really have to do. And it's got to be a partnership. It's got to be a public-private partnership. Little did I think about, how about a private-public partnership at the time? Because with any partnership comes an element of risk. And I can share with you the fact that this project does not come without risk. But the greater risk is not doing this project. That's why we have to move forward as a community to support this wonderful group of individuals and institutions. I can share with all of us, the town manager and the entire town management and the board, we are going to use what resources that we can bring to bear to make this happen in short order. Because this is the iconic, this is the heart of the community. And by dealing with this part of our community, the entire community is going to be more vital than it was yesterday. Thanks, and we hope to work with you through this entire process. Thank you.
So thank you, Tom. Thank you, everyone, for attending, and we will certainly be happy to address any questions that you may have at this time. Yeah.
What is it that we can do to help support that other than yay?
Well, again, this is a model of a community-enabled investment. We have been successful in raising a level of leadership equity. We are continuing to look for other equity partners in this project. Equally importantly, we are going to be looking to expand the tenant base working with existing tenants who are interested and looking to solicit new tenants for the community. So to the extent that people have ideas and leads for tenants in this redevelop project, we are certainly all ears.
Is a hotel in the plans?
Is a hotel?
Yeah.
So a hotel as a concept is not necessarily in the plans at this point. We envision at this point housing, retail, institutional use, and restaurants. That said, if a hotelier develops as we're doing this process, by all means we would entertain it. This is it's a dynamic process, it's fluid, it's evolving. We have secured the property, we have designed a very broad conceptual project that we think will work, and now it's filling in the pieces as we go.
Without getting into anything proprietary, what is the current status of the deal with the Greenbooks? Are you at MOU status? Are you at contract? And
So-
what is the window for purchase?
So we have we have an option agreement for 90 days to allow us to do environmental and other due diligence. If all of that due diligence goes well, we would expect to close and take title to the property in 90 days. Patrick? The value of the project overall? Again, this project is dynamic and fluid. In the original evolution and iteration, looking at taking the project from here around the corner to and including Old Castle Theater, we're looking at probably a project in the $20 million range. To the extent that additional tenants would come on board and we'd look for new construction to move closer to Washington Avenue, that number could change.
So, do you have any tenants lined up? Maybe you can't talk about them yet, but for instance, we were going to say some Greenbergs. Do you have potential tenants for this kind of thing yet?
So we have a list of potential tenants. We have some tenants who are already in the building, obviously, that we will visit with and hope will come along as part of this project. We have a number of prospective tenants as well. It is hoped that some of the institutions represented here today will also serve as tenants at some level as part of this project as it evolves.
First, I see the hospital, I see the colleges here. Are they planning any kind of tenancy or setting up anything here?
Okay. We this morning we had a meeting of the group. We meet a couple of times a month. We talked about potential programming needs, so those discussions will evolve. I will say that all of the institutions are at least contemplating some level of tenancy as part of this project.
Last thing. You mentioned the existing tenants and if they're willing, et cetera, et cetera. I'm a little unclear about that. Are the people who are here, do they have the option to stay, or are they going to have to kind of negotiate a new deal, or?
Well, we will take ownership of the project with existing leases in play as part of an ownership of any project. We would be in lease negotiations if they would like to stay as part of the project, and we would certainly be open to those discussions. I mean, we have a base here. It's a logical place to start.
And actually, I'm sorry, there's one more thing. Might be in the press release. Do you know what this all entails? Like, in other words, is it 4 buildings and X number of parking, or maybe that's in the press release?
Yeah, not yet. We know that we have 6 properties here. We will begin with the renovation and restoration of the historic buildings. That makes the most sense financially because we can garner both new market tax credits and federal rehabilitation tax credits. So there's some significant tax benefit reasons to start with historic structures. If additional tenants come along, new construction is required, then that will evolve as part of our planning.
Within after these 90 days, when will it be that people start to see a change to these projects?
So under our original timeline, we would hope to close within 90 days. We expect the design of the project will take 12 to 15 months. At that point, we would go for financing for the project, the tax credits in place, bank financing and the like, and we would expect construction would take probably another 15 to 18 months following that.
What do you hope will make the difference in terms of driving business down to this area
So we think there's an opportunity to revitalize the community by creating in-town living. So we think that by activating these spaces with residential, it will help to drive some of the other uses. We have a preliminary market study which indicates that residential is probably the easiest of this to fill, followed by institutional uses with retail and restaurant kind of being the heaviest lift. But we believe that having additional people living in downtown, additional office workers perhaps in and around downtown will help to convince those retail and restaurant folks to join the project. Joey? How heavily is Dr. Hitchcock involved?
Not at all right now.
Does Southern Vermont College, do the discussions include classrooms in this building?
We're looking at a lot of different uses. We are very space constrained up on the hill, but we're also very transportation constrained. So I'm talking to everybody at SVC about potential uses, including potentially classrooms, yes.
So we anticipate market rate housing. It will be leased housing, not fee simple housing, at least for the initial period. That is due to the financing structure of the project. New market tax credits for at least a 7-year period will require that all tenancies here are leased tenancies.
This is such a dynamic project. There's so many different facets to it. Are you going to just use traditional community town meetings with the select board and things like that, or are you going to open it up to a different meeting group that would basically, or an email list that would basically make sure that it's that all the aspects are covered, people really have a voice?
Yeah, I think we're fortunate here that this project was really jump-started with the Bennington Downtown Area-Wide Plan, which had substantial opportunity for public involvement and input. We did a number of charrettes, there were public meetings, there was a lot of input, there were conceptual redevelopment scenarios already on board. So we think we know the elements and we're going to be following up on that and looking for specific tenancies within the parameters of those existing plans. Patrick?
Some of the original plans that were presented a few months back included the property, the Greenberg property behind the diner. That wasn't mentioned this morning. Is that part of it or not at this point?
That is not part of the project at this point. That was not part of the negotiated option, at least at this point.
Which property was that?
The diner property and roughly 2 acres along the river on the west side of Washington Avenue. It's not part of this project as it's currently conceptualized. Patrick?
We have some questions. Before you guys all scan into the winds, can I pull you guys in and get photos on the Putnam Block?
Sure. And I do have press packets with a press release and project information sheet for press. Are there other questions before we disperse? Yeah, this will be the hard, on-the-ground look at the environmental conditions, phase 1 and potentially phase 2 environmental site assessments. What happened in the study was an overview of existing conditions, so those will be built upon, but we'll need to go through formal phase 1 and phase 2 processes if necessary in order to line up financing down the road. That would be a requirement of any financing institution. Terrific. I would like to thank our local legislative delegation, Bennington Select Board members, and town administrators, and certainly other community members who came out today. We're excited to get underway with this project. I am honored to be working with the group that's assembled behind me as part of this effort, and we can't wait to get started. We've been talking about it for a while. We're happy to have site control. And look forward to the ongoing transformation of downtown Bennington. So I have press packets here. Thank you very much.